with Steve Austin getting into ring shape to face Kevin Owens and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for March 17th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On Monday Night Raw, Austin Theory has been seen with WWE Chairman Vince McMahon serving as his protege. Talking to Solo Wrestling, Theory revealed, "I always learn something new when I'm around Vince. I usually get a lot of advice from him, and it's been a crazy process to be able to work with him on every show. I think the thing that has stayed with me the most, and this is something I've said in the past, is his aggressive respect toward anyone he approaches, especially when someone comes up with ideas or shows passion towards something." At WrestleMania 38, Theory is set to go one-on-one with Pat McAfee as McMahon is expected to play a role in this bout. Recalling his loss to Steve Austin at the 1996 King of the Ring, Jake Roberts noted on the DDP Snake Pit podcast that Vince McMahon saw Austin as a mid-card talent prior to his superstar rise. He came up there as the ringmaster, which stunk. And he knew it stunk. I knew it stunk. But Vince has this thing, man. He's going to make it work, but it wasn't working, and it wasn't doing anybody any favors. And it finally got bad enough that they gave him some time off and he came back stone cold. At that time, I was helping write the storylines, and I looked at the whole thing and I told Vince, that guy's going to be your next megastar. And Vince laughed at me. He said, no way. Middle of the card, maybe. I said, no, you're wrong. You wait and see. And that's probably one of my better feel-good moments too, because I was right. On that same podcast, Jake Roberts talked about his time in WWE, claiming those in the company were jealous of him. "I didn't play the office game very well. I'm old school. I use about 3 things on this phone. That's it. I'm not a tech guy, and the reason being is I have an addictive personality. If I was to get into that, I'd do nothing but look at that all day long. They'd find me in a room shriveled up and dead because I get hooked on something and I don't give it up." The other problem was jealousy. "I didn't know that you had to play these games with the other people that are in there. I thought once you were in the office, you were okay. Found out if you took wrong seat in the limo, you're going to piss somebody off. I hated it. I hated it. Such a waste of energy. Vince used to ask me to come to the office to help him, and I said, Vince, if you want something from me, call me. Tell me about it, and I'll give it to you. But I'm not going to spend my only 3 days off in these 2 months in Connecticut. I've got a wife I'd like to see and actually wants to see me." This was early. Later on, it was a little bit different because I heard that. I couldn't handle the games in the office. I don't play well with others. Following his release from WWE back in November, Keith Lee finds himself in AEW. On the Unrestricted podcast, Lee mentioned that AEW President Tony Khan got in touch with him shortly after he was let go. "I don't know if I should even say this stuff, but it's fine because it wasn't a business thing or anything. The release happened, and within 3 days, Tony found a way to get in touch with me. I was actually really impressed with that considering we had never spoken before. We had some really laid-back conversations and got to know each other a little bit. That's something to help because that's some of my trust that's a little disgruntled. We had a conversation, and as time wore on, things got easier, and we met up, and I have a thing where I must meet a person in person. I'm a people feeler as opposed to listening to things. I'm an energy guy. When I did meet him, I decided that he's a fairly stand-up guy, and I really enjoyed my time with him, what he's about, talking football and all that good stuff, especially as a former player. That led into business, but in terms of getting to know him, I had a blast, and we had a lot of laughs and jokes. He's a swell guy." Speaking of AEW, FTR recently fired Tully Blanchard as their manager, as it was said on Wrestling Observer Radio that this could lead to the Hitman joining the company. There was a definite tease of Bret Hart. I don't know that he's coming in, but with an Owen Hart tournament, here's the thing. I'm sure AEW wants Bret Hart for whatever he would do. I don't know what he can do or how much he wants to do. The idea of Bret Hart being there for an appearance, he's already done that before. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know about him managing FTR on a weekly basis, but maybe. It's certainly not something I would rule out because it's something that Tony Khan would want to do. I know that all those guys there, FTR, are giant Bret Hart fans, like giant Bret Hart fans. So we'll see what happens, but obviously Young Bucks and FTR are going to have a match soon with FTR as the babyfaces. So the firing of Tully feels like a babyface turn, and of course with Bret that would be a babyface situation because Bret's not coming in to be a heel. As seen in AEW, fans love to sing along with Chris Jericho's entrance theme, but during his feud with MJF, Jericho's song was banned for a match. Despite this, those in attendance would still sing that song. Jericho revealed on Busted Open Radio that he did not want to nudge fans towards singing, since that would be a WWE move. It's become a highlight of the show. That's when we were doing the 5 labors of Jericho and MJF banned me from using Judas as a theme song. So when we were thinking about that, everybody had their 2 cents. You gotta put the lyrics up on the Jumbotron with a bouncy ball so they follow it. You gotta put lyric sheets under the chair so people could grab them. You have to direct people on their phones and give a precondition for the live crowd. Everybody thought about that except for Tony Khan and myself, and both of us were like, it doesn't feel right. It feels very, I hate to say it, but a very WWE thing to do. This is the way it has to be. There's no room for error. Tony actually mentioned it. When you go to a concert, you know when to sing the lyrics. They don't have to prompt you, they know the song. My point was, if this works and it's organic, it'll be one of the coolest moments of all time. If it doesn't, then the heel MJF, his evil plan paid off, and that's part of the story too, so let's see what happens. I think it was in Houston. I came out and it took 1 line or 2 for people to get in sync, and then they were locked in. After being released from WWE, William Regal is now a part of AEW, helping to form a tag team between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. On Talk is Jericho, Regal spoke about the pro wrestling term mark, saying, honestly, I've never used the term mark. I despise that term. I think it's a nasty, horrible, derogatory term to call somebody who is willing to give you their time. What you should think about is people are willing to give you their precious time to watch you do your thing. You should never look down on them, because if you do, you'll stay at that level, I think. You won't try to better your craft, I think. But would you like to spend your hard-earned money to go see a band thinking that they were looking down on you, thinking, look at these idiots? Well, that's what a mark is. And so when wrestlers talk like that, I've never talked like that. With him set to get in the ring with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38, Steve Austin said on the Rich Eisen show, never say never when it comes to one last match. This opportunity comes up, Kevin Owens starts running me down and gets my attention. It was a thing where I kind of said I'm never going to get in the ring again. In this business, never say never. I said I would never get in, but prompted by the right person at the right time, hell, I wish he would have pissed me off a little sooner than he did to give me more time to prep. Once you step into the ring, it's like stepping onto a football field. That's where business happens. We don't know what it's going to escalate to. I've been working on my conditioning. Had it been anywhere else other than Jerry's place, it's a 2-night event. WrestleMania is biggest show of the year. To be a part of that is really special to me. I'm doing this for me. I'm going out there to have a damn blast. I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna wear these 2 fists out on Kevin Owens. I'm sure he's going to get some too because he's had an amazing career. I'm glad he pissed me off when he did. Austin would also address the injuries that made him leave the business after WrestleMania 19. When I left, I didn't want to leave WrestleMania 19. My neck has presented some problems. After I got spiked and dropped on my head back in 99, I had 4 fused up, and it was time for me to ride off into the sunset and do something else. This comeback means a lot to me, as I've been getting back into in-ring shape. I'm going to go out there and do the absolute best I can. With Vince McMahon set to induct him into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, The Undertaker said to Dallas Morning News that he is worried McMahon could pull a prank during the induction speech. I'm a little bit nervous. There's no one that Vince loves to play practical jokes on more than me, and the fact that the Hall of Fame is on April Fool's Day, who knows what's going to happen. I do know it's going to be emotional, and I'm not sure to what lengths he will go to not to completely fall apart and be emotional. We've almost had radio silence here for the last few weeks after I asked him to induct me, so I have no idea what to even begin to expect from him. Ric Flair would note on his show that he expects Vince McMahon to tear up during the induction. Vince is able to articulate and do things that make everything just sound amazing. I am quite sure the induction speech, Vince will work on it. 90% of it will be from the heart. I really would not be surprised if he broke down a little bit because Taker has meant that much to him and meant that much to the business. With him recently noting that he will not be re-signing with AEW after his contract expires in late April, Joey Janela told Denise Salcedo this about his time in the company. "I think they had plans for me." Tony Khan kept on saying, "After this, we're bringing you back to TV." But unfortunately, I think a lot of it has to do with a situation where I worked with Eddie Kingston in Charlotte, and I super kicked him in the face a little bit too hard. Came in a little bit too hot. I had been squatting probably 50 more pounds than I am used to be squatting, and doing 100 pounds more on the leg press, and I don't know, I didn't realize I had that type of power in my legs, and I gave him a super kick and I broke his orbital bone. He was going into a feud with Chris Jericho, and I feel that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of guys, maybe some older heads that believed my hype and believed that I was some kind of dangerous professional wrestler. I've had times where I've injured people, of course, everyone has, but once you get that reputation, it's hard to break that. PW Insider would further note that Janela's suspicions were 100% right, and that there was a lot of heat on him for the Kingston injury, as it prevented Kingston from traveling for several weeks and changed plans for TV and the Jericho feud as the promotion waited for Kingston to heal. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.